We're bringing you a new episode today titled The Power in Overcoming Addiction. Today we have a guest. He's born and raised in Hawaii. He loves family. He loves being with his son and ensuring that he builds a great life for him and his son. He loves fashion and culture and loves speaking on personal growth. Welcome, Percy. It's amazing having you here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you came. I want to ask you one question. How was your day today?
Pretty good. With James, he eats breakfast with his mom.
Yeah.
But then he'll have a second breakfast with me. Typically, he'll have fruit with his mom, but then with me, it'll be McDonald's.
Yeah.
So if we start the day off with McDonald's, it's a great day regardless.
Who is James?
My son.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just spend time with him today?
Yeah. Spend some time, clean up a little bit. And yeah, just kind of hung out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Today we're talking about addiction today. And what does addiction means to you? When you hear the word addiction, what do you think of?
First thought that comes to mind is something you can't live without.
Okay.
Yeah. Something that almost consumes you.
Yeah.
You're obsessed with, but in a very unhealthy way. And something you can't control. Something you think that you can, but eventually it evolves, it gets worse, and it gets out of your control.
That is great. Can you share your story of battling with an addiction?
Yeah. So I'm a recovering sex and porn addict.
Okay.
And I've been in recovery for almost 2 years.
Okay.
But my addiction started off when I was very young. I was between 8 and 10 years old. Some friends would come over and they would put little thoughts into my mind about what girls look like or what they did with their girls. And I got obviously 8, 10 years old. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, you can look up this also. And I'm like, oh, this makes me feel some type of way.
Yeah.
And then that transitioned into, oh, you can also do this when you feel this type of way. And you can look up even more when you feel some type of way.
Yeah.
And so that just where it started off. Because I feel like 2000s, at the peak of the internet, people were looking up girls' body parts, just little stuff like that, compared to actual full-on pornography sites.
Yeah.
That didn't come about till almost high school.
Yeah.
And then I had a high school girlfriend that I got sexually intimate with, and that added a whole nother thing to that, because not only was I able to look it up whenever I wanted to, I was also getting
it from someone.
From someone else. I was getting physically intimate as well.
Yeah.
And that awoke a hunger, an insatiable need that I just couldn't figure out.
So how long have you been addicted to porn?
Jeez, I think anywhere between 22 and 20 plus years for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were once married and then you had a son.
Yeah.
And when you got into your marriage, why didn't that stop?
I think at one point, or the whole entire time, I said, I can stop when I want to stop. And that's probably why I never took addiction as seriously as I do now, is because I told myself I'm not that bad, or I can figure it out on my own. I don't need any help. But again, it had been such a key part of my life, and then something that I kept hiding from everyone, or that I had been hiding from everyone, that it was almost just a part of who I was. It was just a habit. But yeah, I think ultimately, I didn't love my wife as well as I should have or could have.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't love myself as well as I should have or could have.
And when you say you didn't love your wife, was it based on the fact that you were making poor choices that affected her? Yeah,
because you don't hurt anyone like that. We obviously hurt the people we love on different aspects. We say hurtful things all the time when we're arguing. We forget to do something. We don't adhere to something that they need, and that in turn hurts them. That's almost common in every relationship. Yeah. No one goes out of their way to hurt someone intentionally. Yeah. But when you're an addict, often, if not every time, it's almost like you're outside looking at yourself. Yeah. And so, I was making poor choices. I kept making poor choices, and those choices just kept getting worse and worse. For me, I went into my marriage a porn addict. Yeah. And because I didn't love my wife or myself properly, that transitioned into sex. And that sexual part transitioned into an affair. Yeah. So for 6 years, I was hiding that. And then for 4 of those 6 years, I was getting worse. So between porn and again, infidelity. Yeah. So how easy was it for you to keep up with that lie? Because we talked earlier and you told me that you knew this person for almost 7 years. Yeah. So how easy was it to start a lie and then consistently look at this person that you're building a life with and just keep lying to them? I think that's lying in itself.
Mm-hmm.
You lie, and for me at least, once I was able to figure out I could lie,
Yeah.
I could also figure out how to lie better. So every time I was caught, I would add on a detail or figure out how to not get caught again.
Yeah.
So it became very easy to live a second life.
Yeah.
Because I was so used to lying, but then at the same time used to lying better and better every time.
And you never felt guilty about it because it was just like your normal.
Almost, yeah. And at the same time, for some delusional part of me, thought, we'll stop when we want to stop.
Yeah.
And when we do stop, we'll then discuss the lies in between.
Yeah.
But obviously not. So
do you think that with that mindset, there will ever be a time that you come to a realization that, okay, this is time to stop, or we're just going to be something that you just kept going until a big tragedy happened?
Yeah, like I said, the delusional part of myself was, okay, we'll stop when we want to stop, or something's going to happen first and you're going to get caught and you're going to need a change.
Yeah.
But every time it got worse to a certain extent, or to that extent, I could easily just be better right now because I'm on a clean slate.
Yeah.
But then I'd be like, but there's also, I can do this now.
Yeah.
But it was never like from one lie to a bigger lie.
Yeah.
It was like one lie to a small lie, big lie, small lie.
Yeah.
I would be able to work, in a sense, the system to where I would convince myself and obviously my ex-wife that I was fine.
And you were willing to risk it.
Yeah. I think that's the other part of addiction, is not so much the substance, but the chase.
Yes.
How you can evolve, how you can satisfy your cravings a certain way. And again, once you satisfy it that one way, you're looking for the next. And again, you can't help but feel a thrill to that as well. Because I'm like, oh, I was caught. Or, oh, I wasn't caught. It's like this back and forth. And it gets more exciting every single time.
Yeah. Especially when the time that you got caught, you saw the hurt it was causing, but yet you didn't stop.
Yeah.
So in a way, you were inflicting those pain, but because the pain was not severe, for some reason, you kept going.
But here's the thing. It did get severe at one point. Multiple points.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is my clean slate.
Yeah.
I'm going to be good. But I wasn't getting any help. No help. I wasn't seeking out help from groups. I didn't have any friends that were holding me accountable. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't like mastering myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Was there ever a point that you felt like you could actually overcome it by yourself?
When I got divorced.
Okay.
When I had no one to turn to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because at that point, I can't turn to my ex-wife. She's not going to help me. She hates me. I can't turn to my parents. They don't really understand.
Yeah.
Very old school, very old fashioned. Go to church. I'm like, okay, I need more than that.
Yeah.
My friends, not my friends anymore. So really I had to hone in on myself and what I was willing to do for myself to get myself out of the hole that I put myself there.
That's so funny because that was my next question. What was the turning point that made you decide to seek help? So I guess the divorce actually played a big part.
Yeah, I think because at the divorce, at that point, I realized I was alone.
Yes.
I had never been alone before.
Yes.
Because in my 6-ish, 7-ish year relationship / marriage with my wife, 4 of it I was spent hiding, addicted, and hoeing around.
Yeah.
So by that point, or within all that, I had someone I could turn to.
So where were all the women after the divorce? Because you said you were alone.
Remember the chase?
Oh, yeah?
I didn't have the chase anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So no more chase, no more reward, no thrill. It didn't really matter anymore. Especially because I was alone.
Yeah.
The only person I'd be running from was myself.
Yeah.
The only person that caught up to me by that point was myself.
That's amazing.
So
that's deep. I love that. So how did porn addiction impact your relationship, mental health, and daily life?
Here's a funny thing. So I've been a lot of groups, right?
Yeah.
And in almost every group I've been in, someone will say, Purse, you're putting up rookie numbers, or Purse, you're really not that bad. Those statements were coming from dads who are like 40, 50 years old.
Yeah.
Some of them even 80 to 70 years old, like grandpas.
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't that bad, but I also knew that it got pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it could only get worse. Because some of the stories I was hearing from these men, dang, I would never.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm like, you could have though.
Yeah.
If you don't straighten up.
Yeah.
Right? So,
like you would never, but you can get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but then when people tell you it's not that bad, don't you check them too? Because that is someone that also not like realizing that it starts from a small thing and then he becomes this huge thing. So is that bad?
Yeah.
But why downplay it that way?
Exactly. So even in dating, like some girls are like, Percy, you're really not that bad. Or Percy, is it a problem? Like, I'm not going to settle for it not being a problem.
Yeah.
When it literally has been.
Yeah.
And I'm doing work to be better.
Yeah.
I'm not as bad as I was before. But the second I give myself that inch, addiction creeps in and it goes a mile. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. What role do shame and stigma plays in preventing people from seeking help?
I think it's just because when you say shame and stigma, people typically think they're alone.
Okay. Yeah.
So people are always going to think I need to figure this out, or I can handle this because I'm going to be doing it alone.
Yeah.
So I think that's in itself is shame, where shame and stigma comes into play.
Yeah.
Is just the fact that they think they're alone.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Okay.
The amount of people I've had, friends and family who reach out, who tell me, I thought I was alone. I thought I was crazy. Like, you're not.
So when you start asking for help personally, did you feel like, because at first you felt alone, the chase was gone, you lost your wife.
Yeah.
And was it easy to find people that rally around you?
At first, no, because I was starting from scratch. Like I said, a lot of my friends were my wife's friends. And obviously because she's hurt, they want to rally around the person that's hurt.
Yeah.
No one's going to look at the person that did the hurting and be like, oh, he needs people.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after the fact that people started reaching out.
Yeah.
But that was also after the fact that I started getting help.
Yeah.
So how do I say this? I needed to be alone. I needed to be in the hole. I needed to figure out how to like I said before, I didn't love my wife or myself properly enough to be who I needed to be. Now that I'm alone, I need to love myself and I need to figure that part of myself out so I can figure out who I want to be.
So how did loving yourself play in your recovery?
My self-confidence?
Yeah.
In recovery, a lot of men will say, I'm a son of God. Or they'll introduce themselves. They'll say, I'm a father. Or I'm an addict. They'll say I'm an addict first. And they're like, I'm a father. I'm a son of God.
Yeah.
And I think it was just realizing like, I'm a dad. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I have all these things that I have to look forward in myself. Now let's access that part of ourselves. Let's access the potential of being of wearing all those hats. The oldest son, the oldest brother, the great father, the honest man, the good man, the great man.
Yeah.
Let's do what we can so we can, again, be those men.
So did that role, like knowing that you're not just an addict, but you're also a son of God, a father, someone's son, did those things play a role?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. That self-mastery in itself is just knowing where you are, what you are, and what you're doing to get to where you want to go. Because a lot of people I heard this quote on TikTok. It said that you can't really be truly self-aware with yourself, acknowledge your mistakes, acknowledge your past, if you're not also acknowledging your strengths and acknowledging what you're good at.
I love that.
So again, in the thralls of being alone, I'm like, okay, I effed up. I messed up. There's all this trauma. There's all this tragedy. It'd be very easy just to lull, right? To sit there and lull and to be depressed. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, what do I have to offer? What can I offer? What am I passionate about?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's work on those things. Because you can't, in my mind, I can't fully access what I'm passionate about and achieve all of that if I'm not good with myself.
I want to start by saying that I feel like we are all sinners and we all sin differently. It's just that some people wear their sin on their forehead than others.
Yeah.
People are very easy to judge and point fingers, but forgetting that we all have flaws.
Yeah.
It's just that your strength is someone's weaknesses and someone's weakness is your strength. Does not make you a bad person or evil person. It just makes you human.
Yeah.
And I could just see the way you talk about it, and there's this accountability. Like, I know that this is something I struggle with, but I'm not just defined by that. I tell people that you're not defined by your weaknesses, but what you do about it.
Yeah.
So what are something that you did about it when you had those triggers of wanting to watch porn?
Yeah. Yeah. Great question, because we're often alone.
Yeah.
Not just alone, I'm going to bed alone.
Yeah.
But often we're just alone in our thoughts. We're alone. We could be alone. And I've done this where I've been in crowds of people.
Yeah.
And I've snuck away to do my own thing. It'd be very easy for anyone to feel like that.
Yeah.
To be alone in a crowd of people. But for me, what helped me was again, knowing what I want to do. Because here's the thing to that. People often will say, that's amazing you want to change for your son. That's amazing you want to be better for him. And I'm like, I get that. I want to be better for him, but he's not the person I want to be better for.
Yes.
Not the main one.
Yes.
And who is it? Your ex-wife? No. Who is it? Your parents? No. 10-year-old Percy, 8-year-old Percy that was introduced to all of this. I want to be able to, let's say I could time travel, go back and be like, hey, listen, this is where you're at now. This is who you are going to be. And I would love for them to be like, oh, wow, I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah.
Or, wow, I thought like we would be hiding from this forever. I didn't think it'd be possible to overcome this. That's the person that's motivating me now, is just past me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if anything, future me as well.
Yeah.
But in those moments when I'm alone, I'm up and about, get up, walk, take a shower. I now have a good group of friends who I'll hit up. So for example, I live with some roommates.
Yeah.
I'm like, boys, don't let my room be closed.
Yeah.
Or when I'm dating,
that's
like,
amazing.
You can have my phone.
Yeah.
It's more so just to protect not just them, but myself as well. There's a lot of things that whether it's mentally, physically, that I'll be doing to make sure when I'm alone that I can not feed into those urges.
I love that.
A long-winded answer, of course, but yeah.
I love that so much. So how has battling porn addiction transformed your life?
I'm much more resilient.
I love that.
I know I'm a resilient person because within the time I've been divorced and battling it, I've grown to understand anxiety. I've grown to understand mental health. I've grown to understand depression on a way deeper level because I battle with it almost hourly. So I know I'm resilient because of that. I know I'm resilient because considering what I've been through, a lot of people would succumb to that and would honestly choose not to be here. There's a lot of trauma that has happened from my divorce to now that would keep a lot of people up.
Okay. I love that, actually. What new habits or activity have replaced the time and energy you used to spend on porn?
Yeah, honestly, again, like I said, walking, the gym. I have a lot of passion projects that I'm trying to work on. And that's another thing too, is being able to just work on that. Dedicating time to working on that. That can be better for sure.
Yeah.
Because I'll also, like, if I'm not working on with James, and in times where I'm not working, I'm just dead tired, right?
Yeah.
But it's easier for me to get up and start doing something now than before.
Okay. What are some common misunderstandings about porn addiction you'd like to address?
That it's an addiction.
Yeah.
Most people don't think it is.
Yeah.
So I've been able to talk to a lot. So being in Utah, we're LDS, we're Mormon.
Yeah.
So a lot of Mormon and LDS people will converse and say, oh yeah, porn's an addiction.
Yeah.
And a lot of them will agree. And a lot of them will say, oh yeah, there's groups for this. My dad went to these groups, my brother, my ex-boyfriend, my ex-husband, whatever. They know about it. On the other end, there are people who aren't LDS, who aren't Mormon, who won't agree or even see it as an addiction. And hell, there's even people who are LDS and Mormon who won't see it as an addiction. Yeah. But when I am able to explain to them the outcome and my story, oh wow, that's actually very similar. And a lot of people will be like, oh, that sounds like my dad who's an alcoholic. Yeah. Or that sounds like my mom who's a recovering drug addict. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because the effects you get from either or are the same. So
what is a porn addiction? Like, why is porn addiction even different? Actually, I want to know, what is porn addiction?
So an example to that is a brother that I know. He was like from sunup to sundown watching porn. Yeah. The entire day. Calling out from work, watching it on his phone. And it's not even just porn. It's also masturbating as well. Yeah. I know a man who, I think it was like 75 times in a day. Yeah. Just, you can't live without it. Yeah. You can't go a single second without thinking about it. You can't go a single second without wanting to satisfy that need. Yeah. I think that, like I said, you asked me what addiction is. I think it's something you can't live without, but in a very unhealthy way. Yeah. Yeah. So what is the difference between the porn addiction and drug addiction and alcohol addiction? Is there a difference between that, or are they similar? I think porn addiction, only because I've dealt with that. Yeah. I think it's harder because it's mental. Yeah. So let's say you're an alcoholic. You got to go to the liquor store. You got to get up, got to go to the liquor store. You got to buy something. You got to sit with your liquor. Compared to, oh, I'm horny. Yeah. I'm turned on. It's so easy. And whether it's porn or sex, both are easy accessible. Yeah. One swipe right, one click, and you have whatever you need. Yeah. Compared to, oh, I'm thirsty. You got to get up.
Yeah.
Or, and drugs even.
Yeah.
Right? I got to go to the corner.
Yeah.
I got to hit up my plug.
Yeah.
There are different steps that you need to take, almost in some cases, illegal steps you need to take to satisfy your cravings compared to.
That's you picking up your phone right now and checking.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. What are some resources that you recommend to listeners who are seeking help?
The church, obviously, since we're in Utah, it's a pretty prevalent one.
And if they're not an LDS member?
There are AA meetings online that you can look up as well.
Okay.
Addiction, porn recovery addiction.
Yeah.
Groups you can look up online that aren't LDS based too.
Yeah.
So just looking it up, like admitting to it and looking it up.
What would you say to someone who feels hopeless about overcoming this addiction?
They're not alone.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not alone. And even if they do think that they're alone with people that they're close with, if you're scared to go to your parents or your friends or your bishop about anything you're struggling with, find yourself a good group of people that can hold you accountable. Again, if not your parents, your friends. Not your friends, look online. If not online, you need to have a backup to every single person. And the same goes for when you're feeling those urges. You need to have a backup to when you're feeling some type of way. Yeah. Whether it's you need someone to talk to, whether it's not giving in to those demands, you need to have something or other to get you out of that funk.
Do you feel like people should feel guilty being a porn addict?
No, I don't think they should feel guilty.
What should they feel?
Natural. These are natural urges. These are natural feelings that we have placed by our Heavenly Father in us to create life. But at the same time, I'm a big believer that we should be saving these parts of ourselves for our person. Yeah. Right? Whether you're straight, whether you're homosexual, I believe we should be saving that part of ourselves for that person. I don't think that we should feel guilty for having natural urges. It's unnatural when we're spending all day thinking about it. It's unnatural when we can't control it. It's unnatural when this part of ourselves is it's empty. Yeah. We should never feel empty. Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. The power of overcoming addiction lies in its transformative ability to restore personal sense of self, freedom, and purpose. It represents not just the cessation of harmful behaviors, but the reclamation of life and potential. Here's some key aspect of this power: reclaiming control and freedom, healing relationship, physical and mental health, discovering your purpose, inspiring others, strengthening inner resilience, and embracing authenticity. The journey of overcoming addiction is not easy, but it's profoundly empowering. It underscores the human capacity for change, resilience, and hope. Give me 3 adjectives that describe you. Quirky, personable, and enthusiastic. I think I want to add strength. I think you said you're resilient, and I think I want to add strength. I think it takes a mental kind of strength to say, I want to fight back. Yeah. We are just humans that go through stuff. And for you to go through life experience, especially like losing your wife, and I don't think it's the easiest thing to lose a family that you've known that long. But then for you to say, instead of being a victim of that circumstance and say, okay, I have nothing to fight for, you chose yourself and you fight the mind to gain back control. I think you're very, I'll add strength into the vocabulary. Yeah. There's a saying where someone once said, it all boils down to choice. Yeah. You choose yourself. Yeah. In battles of addiction. There's a saying where it's being an addict, addiction isn't a choice. Yeah. It's a sickness in the brain where we can't live without something, right? Yeah. But being an addict, doing the addiction things, that's a choice. Yeah. Seeking help. Yeah. Going out your way to be better, knowing what you need to work on. Yeah. Choosing yourself, choosing to not give in. Yeah. It all boils down to choice. Yeah, I love that. I also want to add to that. There's a saying that also say one day or day one. Some people always say one day I'll get to it. One day may never come. But if you start today and say, I want to make these choices to correct the things that are not perfect about myself and make them my strength, I promise you everything will get better. So I hope that you love this podcast today. I hope that this podcast empowers you. I hope that if you know of anyone that is struggling, instead of making them feel ashamed or feel like they are not good enough,
I hope you embrace them and make them feel like they're not alone, because we all struggle and battle through something. We just want to feel safe and go to the right people that make us feel like we are not alone. And I think nobody's meant to do life alone. So if you have anybody out there, or if you know of anyone out there that is struggling, please make sure you're there to let them feel seen, because we may not know what people are going through, but we can also help by empowering and just being there. Guys, this is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the conversation we had today. Thank you for joining the little family. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and thank you for honoring my invitation to actually sit down here and just talk about this. I don't think coming here to sit down and being vulnerable like this is an easy task, but it's amazing to see how you have grown, because I knew you like 2 years ago, and I saw that you had a little son in your arms, and just seeing how far you have come to be able to have a platform where you can sit down and talk about it. I think it's empowering. So just thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And guys, I will see you next in the next episode. So thank you, Percy.
Yeah.
Bye.